Where do you turn to in times of fear, uncertainty, upheaval? When your regular routines are disrupted? Where do you turn to? Because in situations like that, we're like lost at sea. So how do you navigate? How do you find the bearings and coordinates to maintain an equilibrium? We're living in times like that right now. In my lifetime, I don't think I recall so much uncertainty in so many areas. And uncertainty is a very big word, but it goes even further than that. Threats. Globally, think about the Middle East, Israel, especially in the last year. The volatility. Europe and Ukraine, Russia. The United States, the presidential elections with all types of twists and turns and surprises. So how do you navigate? Where do you turn to? The good news is we have a formula. A formula that goes back over 3,300 years that teaches us methodologies of how to navigate in times of fear, in times of uncertainty, in times when everything seems to be shaken up. And this method I captured in a book called 60 Days. A Spiritual Guide to the High Holidays. We're literally now entering this period called 60 days. The Hebrew months of Elul and Tishrei. That actually teaches exactly that. A time-tested, proven method. To regain balance after disruption, after betrayal. To reclaim love after it's been violated. So please join me in this first of a several week series called 60-Day Journey. Finding hope in times of fear. Hi, this is Simon Jacobson, and this is the first of a several-part series called 60 Days, 60-Day Journey, Finding Hope in Times of Fear. This program is dedicated by Lacey Reichert. So where do you turn to in times of upheaval, in times of fear, in times of uncertainty? In times like this, a world both globally and locally that's fraught with so many changes and so many transitions. Could anyone have predicted the events that happened this past year, 1 year ago? We'll go back a few years to COVID and that curveball, how that disrupted life. But it's not gone away. Even if COVID is subsiding, which it hasn't completely, there's so many other factors at work. The war in Israel doesn't seem to end. The war in Ukraine. The presidential politics here in the United States, which also seems to be a never-ending cycle of surprises, twists and turns. The economy, technology, Remember, not all disruptions are necessarily negative, not all tragic. Some of them are just simply unknowns. So how do you navigate? What tools do we have? So the good news, my friends, is we have an over 3 millennia year old formula, time tested, over 30,300 years old, called 60 Days, a spiritual guide to the high holidays, which I captured in a book. And it's a story of love, of beauty, of wholesomeness, but then it's shattered. Betrayal, violation, infidelity. And the question, of course, is what do you do now? So comes the third part of the story, the reconciliation. Repairing that which was broken. Rediscovering love after it was betrayed. Rebuilding after destruction. And yes, finding hope in times of fear. And these 60 days are the 60 days of the 2 months, most momentous, most potent months in the Jewish calendar, Elul and Tishrei. The month we're entering now, and then the following month, the month of the high holidays, beginning with Rosh Hashanah, then Yom Kippur, Sukkot, concluding with Simchat Torah. And it's a story of rebuilding and finding peace and harmony and finding equilibrium even in a stormy sea. And indeed, it is a journey. That's part of the story. That we recognize that no matter what happens in life, it's a journey. It's a continuum. It's a narrative. And this first part of the journey, as we begin the 60 days, we begin with a state of fear, of unknowns, of threats, of what will come tomorrow. And we all know the effect that has on us. We human beings, from childhood and through our adulthood, thrive on predictability, security. Security is based on I know where I'm going. I know where my home is. I know who I can trust. I know who I love, who loves me. I know I can turn to. When all that's in question, or there are forces, enemies, adversaries that challenge that type of security, it throws us. It's disorienting, it's demoralizing, and it affects us on so many different levels. That's why trust is so necessary in life and so much a part of building relationships, because I can trust this person. If I can't trust someone, then how can I rely on them? And then it starts gnawing at you. What do I do? If the person doesn't deliver, if the person doesn't live up to the promises, broken promises, dashed hopes, destroyed dreams. So the journey of 60 days teaches us how to find that type of steadfast, unwavering foundations. It's easy to say and naively say, oh, you know what, no matter what's happening, have hope. Question is how? And how do you sustain it? And how is it real? Not some delusion or some escapism. So what is the story? The story tells us that number one, we have to remember who are we at heart and soul, at the core. If we are people who are fundamentally broken human beings, God forbid, then what can you expect? If you know the foundations of your life are wavering, conditional, impermanent, then how can you really depend on them? Then you hope for the best. So the key thing is to know that at the heart and soul of everything, the real foundation is absolutely unwavering, unshakable. And we have to learn how to access that. When things are going smoothly and well, as Warren Buffett likes to say, until the tide is out, you don't know who's been swimming naked. Things are going well, everybody's comfortable, we take things for granted, we become apathetic. When we're challenged, that's when we have to dig deeper. And that's the opportunity. So exactly that, when there's fear, and there's uncertainty, and there's other forces at work that shake us up, that disrupt our lives, we can look at it, oh, terrible, and cower and retreat in fear, or we can say this itself is an opportunity. This is a time to rise to the occasion. And yes, indeed discover what makes us tick, what gives us eternal strength. So when you rely on something that's temporal, mercurial, so in times where there's no challenge, you think you can get away with it. But then when a storm strikes, and you've been holding on to a twig or to a weak tree, you realize that's good when things are going smoothly. But when the storm strikes, you better find a tree that has very deep roots and a powerful trunk, a powerful foundation. That's the opportunity. And that leads us to come to discover what really defines something that's eternal versus something that is temporary, that is impermanent. And here's the rule. Everything in the material world is mercurial, is ever-changing, is subject to mortality. It's born, it erodes, it deteriorates in time, and ultimately perishes. So even while it's standing strong, it's already in the process of transition and change. You may not feel it, you may not see it, so you can convince yourself, hey, look how all-powerful this is. But then in time you see that. It is the wise person who realizes, doesn't have to wait till the tide is out, that you better find eternal connections. And the eternal connections are always spiritual, not material. Spirituality lies within the material, but you have to find that. And what is the spiritual value? Love, kindness, generosity, gratitude. Anything that is transcendent and not defined by the parameters of the ever-changing experiences that are subject to the changes of time and space. Those things that live on. So, very simply put, write down a list of items that you know, that you can pass on to your children, who can pass it on to their children, who can pass it on to their children forever. And there are items that you know you can pass on, but it's not going to last forever. You can give someone some food, some money, but there's no way that it's going to last forever. Now, money is an interesting one because people think the illusion is if I have enough money, I can not just survive, I can thrive, I can share that money. But money at the end of the day, no matter how much it is finite and will be subject to different changes and losses. It creates the illusion of power because it can buy so much, but it's not truly an eternal value. And yet, we will hold on desperately, in the words of the Talmud, to temporary life. We will choose the immediate, instant gratification over long-term, eternal benefits. Because we are human beings of here and now. And someone will say, give me $5,000 now, or $50,000 over several years. Most people will take the $5,000 now. Whatever the number is. If maybe the numbers are large enough, you may accept some delay. Because that's how we think. We think for now, and we don't know what will be tomorrow. So the first message that this 60-day period teaches us is, in times of challenge, identify the things that are permanent, that are eternal. What do you stand for? What are you ready to fight for? What values are absolute in your life and not optional and not conditional? And hold on to that for your dear life. That's how you find hope in times of fear. It's not just you say to yourself, oh, there's nothing to be afraid of, or you deny it or you ignore it. It's you find an equally or more than equal power that's stronger than any fear, because that's what I hold on to. I have nothing but that. Because if you don't do that, then you're subject to the forces that are causing you to be afraid. And there are many reasons to be afraid. And when you start calculating, you can give up all the risks in life. Anything can happen any given moment. We all know that. We see all types of events around us, people being hurt, senseless deaths, senseless illness. So if you allow yourself to think about it, it can really drive you completely insane. The fears, what will happen to me, my children, my family. That's why you need to have the second list, if you wish, the second column. But here are the things that makes life worth living for. The love that I find, the pleasure that I have in those that I care about and care about me, the values that I perpetuate, the mission in my life, the calling. So that doesn't eliminate the risks that exist, but it counters it with something so much more powerful. I remember speaking for a few hundred of the military in the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, at Sahel. It was a few months ago, right near the Gaza border. My book Toward a Meaningful Life, and a special Hebrew edition in honor of the IDF, was being distributed. So I was there, part of that, and I shared a few words. I was humbled by these 21-year-olds who are fighting to defend innocent men, women, and children. So what humbled me was, besides the fact that young, innocent, but completely dedicated, but I saw that commitment, the devotion, the love, literally, the smiles. You don't see this in the media and all the propaganda out there. People focused on a mission. The mission was, we are standing for morality, a moral clarity, a moral compass against people who literally want to kill simply because we're Jewish or because we're Israeli. That creates such a crystallized perspective. That countered the fear, interestingly. Of course there's fear. You're going to places, you're going to tunnels, you're going to booby-trapped areas, you're going to areas that are unpredictable. Who knows what will come around the corner? Who knows who will live tomorrow? But the counter there was something more powerful. What I am fighting for is stronger than what I'm fighting against. My enemy does not define me. My adversaries don't define me. The pains and losses, the darkness in life does not define me. What defines me is what I stand for. I stand for being a spiritual ambassador of bringing eternal values and truths to this world. When you have that commitment, that's what counters all the negative. That's what brings a ray of hope, a ray of light, even into the darkest corners. So the 60 days begin by teaching us exactly that. The Hebrew year is coming to an end. Many challenges this past year. In Israel, on campuses, in our personal lives. Everyone knows what's going on in our own lives. We all have our challenges. But we're given now a month whose acronym, the Hebrew acronym for the Hebrew month of Elul, is Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li. I am to my beloved and my beloved is to me. There's love in the air. There's love in the world. But it requires a relationship, a reciprocal relationship. I am to my beloved and my beloved to me. This period in time is also compared to the king in the field. The great king is greeting his subjects in the field, not in a palace, without formalities, without preparations. As you are in the field, as you are, you can connect. These are all sources of tremendous strength and hope. Finding strength, finding hope in times of fear and challenge. And that's what we embrace. Historically, Moses was on the mountain at this period. This is when he goes up on the mountain the third time. First time when he receives the Torah at Sinai. 40 days later, he comes back down and he sees the people have betrayed God. They built a golden calf. Goes up again, 40 days, prays, but it's not successful. Now he goes up the third time. And this time, he's able to evoke divine compassion. And that's why this month is also called a month of compassion, a month of empathy, the revelation of the 13 attributes of divine mercy and compassion. These are eternal strengths that we access in times of challenge. Like a tea bag, you don't know how strong you are until you put into hot water. The hot water elicits these deeper strengths. That's what we're supposed to do in times like this. So the 60-day journey is a tool, is a methodology, is an approach. How to travel on this journey. With resolve, with commitment, with devotion, which in turn counters any of the fears that come from the unknown, from the enemy, from forces that want to hurt. Obviously, we need to be prudent and do whatever we can to protect ourselves, to defend ourselves. But above all, what we want to be able to hold on to is something to look forward to. The bigger goal that we will and we can and we will transform this world. Transform this world from, yes, a dark world, a hostile world, into a world of love. A world of ignorance into a world of divine knowledge. A world of hostility into a world of peace. A world of fear into a world of hope. And a world of weakness and insecurity to a world of strength and endurance. Lasting endurance. And to add to it all, we need to be with each other. Because that's what gives us even more strength. The synergy of community, which is more than the sum of the parts. To share this message, to work together, to travel together on this journey. And we do so by embracing the values, the eternal values upon which the world, both the macrocosmic world and the microcosmic personal world, stand. The three pillars. The spiritual SPA acronym, study, prayer, action, cognitive, emotional, and behavioral conditioning. That every day we increase dedicating our minds to studying something spiritual, something transcendent, something that lifts our minds beyond politics, beyond the media, beyond the daily vicissitudes and confusions that inundate us, especially through technology. Put your mind into a more spiritual, higher place. Emotions. Say a prayer, sing a song, read a poem. That emotionally stimulates you. And again, instead of emotions being seduced or overstimulated by all kinds of nonsense, emotions that are connecting to eternal values, to love, to gratitude, to kindness. And finally, behavioral conditioning, actions, acts of goodness and kindness. Reach out to someone, reach out to a stranger, someone not like you. Share a kind word, offer a helping hand, provide a job, a loan, some charity, anything that will help another. And perpetuate this by encouraging others to do the same. It has a ripple effect, an exponential effect. These are the actions, the feelings, and the ideas and thoughts that create eternal foundations, that counter all the forces that are constantly changing and shifting. The shifting winds, the storms, the attacks, the threats, and provide us with something that we can hold on to no matter what happens around us. You say, I have this forever and ever. And the more, the merrier. The more we build, the more foundational elements we have in our lives, the more to hold on to. This is the journey. The first step of the journey, of the 60-day journey. And with it, we then able to grow step by step, from strength to strength, level to level, as we climb the ladder in the 60-day journey. Thank you, and be blessed to find these inner strengths, these inner resources, and to actualize them. Simon Jacobson here from Meaningful Life Center, meaningfullife.com, where you can find this and so many of our other programs. We have many resources around the 60 days, including the book, but also daily emails, podcasts, and other tools. I'm also pleased to announce that the book has just been published, a new edition in Spanish. I'll be actually in Mexico City. I'm actually finishing my tour in Mexico City this week, the launch of the book. And hopefully we'll translate it into other languages. So check it all out. Please subscribe to our offerings. Subscribe to our growing YouTube channel. Please share. I'd love to hear your thoughts, comments, feedback. Be blessed and be well, and success in your journey.
This program is brought to you by the Meaningful Life Center. Please help us continue our programs. Make even a small contribution at meaningfullife.com/donate.